able to. Now, okay, Winter, you mentioned that, all right, sure, composition-wise, there is a clear difference. If it goes later, obviously LGD is going to have an advantage. But for Cloud9, I mean, what is it there? Do you think it's something that they can switch in their draft to make it a little bit more versatile, or is it just simply a matter of how they go about the game?
I think in this game, the time they got the bottom racks was actually early enough, and I think they also got the top range racks fairly early.
Yeah. Right.
And the problem to me is that it seems like they're missing a little bit of foresight when it comes to the base push. So generally, when they siege high ground, one of two things happen: either they're way too cautious because they don't realize they're far ahead, or when they start getting momentum. This is a very momentum-based team, and they're like when they're rolling, they're really rolling, and sometimes they roll too hard. And in this kind of game, right, you're getting the racks. You're like, yeah, we're doing it, let's go, and they dive a little further, and then they're lacking the foresight of, oh wait, what happens if this and this hero has buyback? Like, you need to think of those things before it even happens, because else, the moment it catches you by surprise, you lose a big fight.
Right.
I think there was one key buyback or one key fight where the Ember Spirit, I think, got 2 or 3 kills. He got like 4,000 gold or something out of the fight, or at least a ridiculous amount of money, and he goes and buys, I think it was the MKB, and then a little bit later he gets a rapier after the following fight or something.
Right.
You said MKB, right? He did get an MKB, yeah. So, you know, it's just one of those. It's super difficult to do. Like I'm not blaming them for it, because this is like really advanced stuff, and you need to having that kind of foresight is exceptional, and it's, in my opinion, one of the reasons why Secret and EG are right now 2 of the best teams in the world, is that they don't get into this situation because they always think that extra step ahead. And to me, that's what Cloud9 needs to do, but it's so difficult to do.
Do you think there's any items lacking? Maybe a Crimson Guard. Crimson Guard is really good against Ember
that is
and
very
Gyro.
good, yeah.
They could have built it on possibly the Undying for their high ground siege. Maybe that would be helpful, or any sort of other items that is missing in their composition you think would be extra helpful?
I think Crimson Guard is definitely good, both against Gyro and Ember. So I would agree that's an oversight on their part, not getting that core item. But at the same time, that item also really falls off at like minute. I don't know when they would.
You have to get it at a very good timing, precise timing.
So, and what hero would they have picked it up on? They could have maybe got it on the Undying.
Yeah, he's like the best candidate, I'd say.
Or, you know, you could do something a little special. And Bat Rider is a very special hero because it doesn't really, apart from like Blink Dagger and to an extent, you know, everything past Blink Dagger is kind of luxury.
Right.
In the hero, it's the only thing you really need. Blink Force and then luxury, right? So the question is, was the Mask of Madness the right choice? Bone 7 loves getting it because you get the max move speed, so you can pull them as far as possible with the Force Staff and everything, which is great. But at the same time, it kind of looks like no matter how far you pull them, as long as there's a grave available, you don't get the kill anyway on the opener.
It's true.
So maybe he could have gone for a utility item that they were lacking. I don't know if they had a Shivas on the Razor, did they? No, he went Scott.
No, he went AC.
He went AC.
He went AC.
So they did. I think they didn't have a Shivas in their lineup, right? So they were lacking a Shivas. Did they have a Vlad's? You know, AOE armor in general is
they didn't
incredible
even
against
have a
that
map,
kind of.
I think, for the early pushes, because I don't think anyone
so,
got a map.
Well,
itemization then, I guess, could have definitely been improved. But honestly, the way the game went, this was a win for them. If they
I
had
mean, like
played
you
it
said,
outright,
it seemed like they got the timings right for the earlier phases. It wasn't that they were late already. It was just how they were able to pan that out. So yeah, let's jump into that highlight of the early kind of aggression that we saw from Cloud9 and them taking advantage of their composition. And as we're looking at this, of course, we're talking all from the point of view of Cloud9 because they had the lead earlier on. But Ben, let's talk a little bit about LGD. I mean,
LGD, they ideally want to fight really close to the base because then Ember can do so much damage. And Cloud9 actually get baited very close to the T4s in the fountain. And yeah, it looks like they're initially winning the fight and people are just melting to EE, but then he's really low and everyone has a TP out in the end. And I think this was their like first major casualty. They could have taken just 2 heroes in the racks and then just backed off. But instead, they really wanted to do more heavy economic damage to Ember, to Gyro, and pursued them into the fountain. They didn't kill them, and they got punished super heavily for it. That was the beginning of the end.
right on. Yeah. So there were fights, I mean, of course, the later fights, I mean, with Ember running amok and pretty much dominating everyone on the side of Cloud9, as long as he was timing his positions right. That's not a big question. But earlier on, I mean, Cloud9, it wasn't just, you know, that, okay, our composition, we took advantage of it. Their fights weren't bad either, you know, going forward. I mean, they seem to have their plays intact. Of course, the shallow graves were a bit of a bane, as you might imagine it always would be.
This is an exceptional fight. They 5-0 them here, and this is generally when you're ahead at this point this much, and you get a 5-0 like this, you convert it into something meaningful like Rax or a Roshan. I think Roshan is dead at this point in time, or I can't remember, but they get this team wipe, but it doesn't end up giving them enough. After that, we're always talking collateral, right? The collateral. Sometimes the fight in itself is enough. You get like a really big golden experience boost, but they didn't really need to get anything else than a tower in addition or something. Like it wasn't like they were far away from winning the game. But LGD's high ground defense, we were also talking about it even in the draft, it's a very difficult lineup to push against.
Yes.
In the early game, they have a lot of wave clear. In the late game, they have extreme spread damage. So it is a hard task, and LGD played it really, really well.
Yeah, the Blink Ember I think is really good too, because a lot of times you'll just get caught off immediately after Sleight of Fist, but they were able to execute that really well. I mean, maybe's Ember is really, really good, and we've seen a lot of Ember lately.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. I mean, in general, we've been surprised at the number of Embers we've seen, and then we were mentioning just, wow, maybe's Ember really kind of going crazy, and then when he got that second rapier, we're like, there's no way he's considering dropping that blink, right? Because that's been so crucial in his positioning. We saw that in the last fight too, because once you get that rapier, if you die once, like, it's pretty big trouble. But he decided to keep that blink dagger until the very end.
I think Dazzle's actually the much bigger culprit as to why Ember's actually playable.
Yeah, and we did see that yesterday too during the wildcard play-ins. So as we're talking about Ember, let's go ahead and now look at the game from LGD's point of view. Of course, when did things start to turn around? As we jump into the game, we'll see that LGD, of course, from here on out, once they start taking one fight and then going forward, I mean, again, we talked about it. Ember and Gyro, you get those items, you know that you're going to be able to win those fights forward as long as you don't make a mistake on your end.
It's just so difficult to push high ground and not take too much damage from the Ember Spirit, and if you're up too far alone, you'll just get bursted down by Lina and Tusk. So it's no easy feat for Cloud9 to push up high ground. I thought their positioning overall was pretty good. Fada has a really aggressive blink. He refreshes, but isn't able to get the blink out here, and this is when Ember and Gyro start to get really scary.
I think if you're Cloud9, you're taking a siege like this, there's only one way you can siege the base. You have to start the fight with a lasso and kill someone right away. If the fight goes like somewhat long, Ember casts multiple slides, and there's a second flat cannon. You're not going to win that fight.
And we've built up too. Yeah. There's just so many things that there are so many advantages.
They cannot win if the fight goes long. They have to win the fight right away. They lasso and they kill someone.
Now, so that's something you guys talked about when we were looking at the draft. Like, okay, well, maybe the Lion can help with that, try to overcome the Shallow Grave and whatnot. And then some of the fights we were mentioning as we were talking, like, oh, that Shallow Grave seemed really early, but that's what they needed to do because, again, the burst was there.
I actually think there's one item that might actually be helpful. Since Cinderan was talking about maybe the Mask of Madness was like, we're not sure how much it did. The other item that came to my mind was like use. You can actually blink, you lasso someone, you use the dazzle, then you come back up. Yeah, and it gives you movement speed, same like
Orchid on the Queen of
something
Pain.
like that.
Yeah, maybe
Orchid could have been really nice actually. That game.
Yeah, but I'm thinking from the Bat Rider's perspective, an item that helps the cause of dealing with the dazzle, and an item that benefits himself. So use is definitely.
So him getting it himself so that he's already in position.
The
to
movement
use
speed is helpful for him, and of course the disable on the dazzle.
Yeah, I mean, they have just so many escape tools. So they have the Tusk Snowball, they have Glimmer Cape as well. So it's not only.
I'm not saying it will definitely help for sure, but
right, but
it
it's a
could
possibility.
Be
yeah,
it could be a good replacement.
But now it's sounding like, I mean, you were mentioning this just a moment ago, Ben, that at the bottom of it, Dazzle seems to be the problem. Now, if you don't want to play against Ember, is Dazzle now looking like a hero that you want to start banning?
Get Axe. It counters both.
Or
get Axe. Yeah, there are counters
Axe.
to Shallow Grave. You can also get Ancient Apparition. It's also pretty good. He's just going to shatter immediately after, and if he has like a Remnant out, he's still dead. So there are counters, and these, I mean, Dazzle used to be a lot more popular, and Axe and Ancient Apparition as well. So maybe it's time to start bringing those back.
That's true. I mean, again, because during the wildcard plans, we were like, okay, we're seeing a lot more Ember, but it's the wildcard teams. They do have their own pocket picks and whatnot. They play kind of in their own meta because they're coming up through qualifiers, and especially like the C region. We don't really see that as often, but now we're seeing the case that Ember is still pretty popular. Of course, LGD bringing it back out. Winter, what are your thoughts? Do you think you try to go for the counters, or for now in the group stage you try to take it a little bit more stable, start banning it out, and try to get more cards out of the other teams?
I think the main reason why he wasn't picked up so much because his laning phase was very weak, and he has trouble against so many heroes like Queen of Pain, Lash, and even if you put him on safe lane, you protect him, but sometimes you get under pressure against a double durable hero like Spirit Breaker Undying or Naga, Tuska, something along those lines. Ember doesn't stand well against that. That's why that's the main reason I feel why Ember has been falling off recently. But the hero is very suitable for the current meta where you keep fighting.
Right. So we talked a little bit about LGD versus Cloud9, but of course, tons of games going on this week. I already see that smile on Ben's face. He knows what's coming up. Now, we were watching some of the other games. It's a great smile. Ben has a great smile. But we were watching some of the other games, and I believe it was, the MVP Phoenix versus Complexity game had a huge moment. And I love it because I get to sit here with you guys, and you guys just went off when we saw this highlight. So let's jump into one of the crucial moments in that game, MVP versus Complexity. And you guys can run us through this moment, because, I mean, Ben and Winter, you guys
There
were
was
having
a
blast.
2 racks for 2 racks trade. Naga, Siren, they're trying to go for a 2 racks for 2 racks trade, and at this moment, I think they're actually going. What is the situation here? There was a really long.
Was this the black hole on
Yeah, this
fall?
is the black.
Yeah, it's coming up.
This was such a crucial moment for them because MVP, they didn't have the buyback on the Nature's Prophecy. They thought they were going uphill into a really good fight, but Envy types out the timers for Black Hole in all chat, and people make fun of him for it. But if they had done it there, they might
No,
not
this
have.
was because they didn't know he had refresher. He just bought
No,
it.
did he have refresher that
Yeah,
fight?
this
So
was,
he used
Oh,
it.
okay.
He used it in base,
he
but
just
didn't
bought
carry
Yeah,
it
I didn't.
because he didn't have it in.
Yeah,
general.
he didn't have it in his inventory.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
he had refresher this fight.
Wow,
Okay.
that is next level.
That is pretty next level.
He had-
Using
he
it
had
and then
slo-
dropping
he had
it
empty
and then
slots,
showing
He
yeah.
it
just
up.
bought refresher before the fight, I guess. Then he
That's
used
Yeah,
it.
we checked right before, and
and he dropped the refresher.
Yeah, because you guys were saying, oh, it must have just come up, because
Yeah.
it looked like it wasn't up before,
Yeah.
but that's
crazy.
That's actually,
And
that actually
that's
makes
the
it much
main reason
better.
why everyone was like so clumped up. Like, there's no black hole, guys. Let's go.
Wow, that's pretty
Oh.
crazy. But that obviously helps turn it around in complexity.
So
Yeah.
And
Next level
ultimately,
play.
the game didn't even end there.
Right, of course.
Because Complexity still had a lane of racks to take, and it almost ended up being Megas versus Megas in that game, too. Complexity got the bottom racks, and then MVP almost got the enemy bottom racks, but crazy
MVP
game.
games.
MVP games.
are the games to
No,
watch this TI
And
by.
you know, Will, it's very rare you see games that go so long with a core Naga and you're on the losing side, you know?
Yeah.
It's
That's
very rare.
That's true. I mean, yeah, you guys were telling me that game just overall.
He was even like
to
saying,
watch.
oh, it's just another Naga game.
They have a lot of good heroes to deal with it, though. I actually think that their lineup was very suitable. They had DK, they had Nature's Prophet, as well as Enigma. 3 heroes that can end the game very, very early, especially in tandem.
Yeah, so if you guys just want pure excitement, regardless of who you're rooting for, MVP Phoenix, definitely the team to follow, at least in the group stage. We'll see how that goes, how far that goes. Of course, for now, Game 2 getting ready between LGD and Cloud9. Here on the main stream, the other 2 matches are going on Stream B and Stream C. Just to remind you guys, Complexity versus MVP Phoenix on Stream B, and Fnatic versus Secret on Stream C, so you guys will be able to catch all the matches. Secret is up 1-0
Yes.
in that match.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, and that game was pretty one-sided. I think Fnatic showed signs of life, but it generally Secret managed to get a very farmed Viper and Gyrocopter very early on, and just their execution, and they got some of their really core heroes that they
CM
love to play.
Yeah,
they
let's,
had Naga.
let's jump into the last
Darkseer.
moments here just to see
Okay.
that draft as you're mentioning it, and then we can have everyone, and they can see, okay, yeah, that's like the secret heroes we know. Maybe we want to go watch that. Give them a little primer. So let's jump into the last moments of Game 1 between Fnatic and Secret, and so you can continue telling us. I mean, Secret, so going with just what you would expect from Secret.
They don't have buybacks where they really desperately need them because this is the
So
game.
we see here both Gyro and Viper really high up on net worth. They've managed to get a lot of farm, and it's pretty rare that you see a core Naga having less net worth than a Crystal Maiden. But it's one of the beautiful things of this as a support hero is that you don't really Naga, the Blink Dagger, and the Solar Crest we see here from Kuroki is actually more than enough. It's all about getting a good song off, and yeah, they're trying to isolate here.
The song Blink to take the free racks.
Yeah.
It's a very tricky distance. But yes, I think Winter and I watched it, and it was just the way that Secret plays. If you give them like a 7,000-8,000 gold advantage with Roshan, with a lineup that scales well all game, which is almost always what they draft, it's very difficult to drop.
Yeah.
Their draft is very all-rounded. They have very good lanes. They have teamfight, Darkseer and Song, Gyro. They have good late game, and laning phase strength is very strong as well. They have Viper plus Gyro, 2 of the strongest cores in the lane.
And
so,
CM.
Yeah, and CM. So everyone is very efficient in farming because of the aura, very good team fight. It's just very good lineup in general at all stages of the game.
Yeah, I think that's the fun part about watching Secret is that they always have those stable drafts and whatnot. So then we know that there are teams that can fight against Secret, but that's when